Sure.
All right. Uh, Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third and final session of ISTE NITK's Biztalks. My name is Sushmita, and I'll be your host this evening. It is our privilege to have Dhairya Gangwani as our guest today. Ms. Dhairya is a well known management consultant analyst who is also a podcaster and a public speaker. She is currently working as an SAP analyst at KPMG, a multinational professional services organization. Ms. Dhairya has successfully completed 25 plus internships in various fields in her college days. She has also completed her BTech in Electronics and Communication Engineering from VIT. Ms. Dhairya is also a passionate public speaker and has given over 100 talks both nationally and internationally. She has been part of quite a few community initiatives, NGOs, and NPOs. In addition to the extremely accomplished individual that she is, Ms. Theria loves to interact with and mentor college students and provides them with much needed guidance in various topics, ranging from resume building and public speaking to personal branding and content curation. She has also curated a couple of quite insightful courses on personality development and communication skills, and she continues adding to her amazing repertoire. Thank you, ma'am, for being part of Biztalks by ISTE and ITK, and we are delighted to have you here.
It's my pleasure, Sushmita, and thank you so much for the lovely introduction. I'm so delighted to be talking on this platform, and it's wonderful that you have actually brought in such a different flavor of speakers from different domains, and I look forward to this conversation with you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was really beautifully said. So, before anything else, let's begin with getting to know a bit more about Ms. Dhairya and her experiences. So, in case the audience has any questions regarding Ms. Dhairya's work or her role in general, you can use the live chat feature in YouTube. So let's get started. Ma'am, so how did you get into management consulting, and when did you know that this is what you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, I think that's a very relevant question to actually begin with because if I had to be super honest about my journey so far, I'll be very honest that management consulting as a domain, the existence of it itself was never known to me when I was in college, right? But what I knew was that while I came into my second year of engineering, which was in 2017, since I graduated last year, I realized that it was not the technical coding part of things that I wanted to get into and probably, follow what most of the people do is go into an IT company or a software based company and become a software development engineer. And once I figured out what I didn't want to do, then it became even the more daunting for me to figure out what is it that I want to do because I was left with very less options. And since I come from an engineering college, majority of the companies which came in were for software roles. And when I thought to myself that if there you don't want to do something on the technical side, which most of the people will do, what is it that you really want to do? And then I stumbled upon management as a word, not management consulting. But I understood that there's this domain called management. And since you have the technical side of things and you have techno functional domains also. So I started reading up on management and I understood that there is a domain of consulting within management as well. You've got operations, HR, and other things also. And when I realized that what consulting really is, even before I could jump into it, I thought that probably doing a couple of internships, if not directly into consulting, but into different management domains, could help me understand my own strengths and weaknesses and make an informed decision of what is it that I'm capable of doing. So when I started doing a couple of internships, I think I did 4 or 5. I just understood that it comes in naturally to me, talking to people, solving problems, presenting cases, or in general, just understanding and providing some implementable solutions. And when I coupled all of that at the end of my journey of doing multiple internships, I realized that actually management consulting as a field is a domain wherein what you essentially do is give effective solutions to your clients' problems, all the complex problems. Obviously, the level of those problems is a little top notch in the sense that it's not at the very ground level. But that's when I figured out that probably the kind of personality that I have and the competencies which come to me internally could be mapped with management consulting. And I was fortunate enough that my university, VIT Vellore, brings in all the big fours every year. So KPMG happened to come on campus, and it was the first year that they actually came in for this techno-functional role of a SAP consultant under management consulting. And after my year, it's so strange that they've never come for that role again. And before my year also, they never came for that role. I genuinely feel that the role was made for me, although there were other people who got hired because It was just what I was looking for. It's a blend of technical and management, and you get to see both the side of things. And that's when I got into becoming, an SAP analyst, and I got into management consulting.
Right, ma'am. That's quite relatable and insightful as well. So, how would you describe your daily routine as a management consultant analyst? And can you elaborate a bit about your job profile?
Yeah, sure. So, when you talk about a typical day in an analyst's life, I'll be very honest, it's not more to do with, you know, direct probable client interactions or just meeting with the stakeholders, etc. Because you can't really do that at an analyst level, although you do it to a certain extent. And I've been fortunate enough to do it. But if you talk about a typical day, you will be involved in configuring the software that you're working on. Because even as an analyst today, technology is everywhere. As a techno-functional consultant or a functional consultant, you may not be coding or putting in the code on which the software works, but you'll be configuring the software. So what you'll be working on is basic requirement gathering from your client, attending meetings obviously to understand their needs, mapping the process, working on a couple of reports and documents. That is something you have to do as an analyst. But other than that, the major part is understanding the software, running cycles, doing testing. There are a lot of things that you do as an analyst. And I think even more than that, it's also trying to understand what all can you learn, because you've just started your journey in the corporate ladder. And as an analyst, when you just get started, they don't restrict you into a box. They give you the option to learn multiple modules within your domain as well. So when you spoke about my job role, right? That's that of an SAP analyst. SAP stands for Systems, Applications, and Products. It's a software. It's an enterprise resource planning tool, and what companies and big businesses use it for is to streamline their business processes and operations. So SAP in itself has got a lot of modules under it, right? And I work on this module called SAP Ariba under SAP, which handles the procurement process, procure to pay process, right from the time you procure any good or any service to the time you pay for it. That entire cycle is actually managed by this tool which works on cloud, which is SAP Ariba. And we work on that. And you name the global Fortune 500 companies, they are our clients, and they get this solution implemented. It's obviously very cost heavy. And that's when you get into these client engagements, 6 months long, a year long with your clients. You have to be in regular touch with them. You have to understand what is the gap, what is the pain point that your client is facing. Is it a technological problem? Is it that the process is not automated enough? Or is there a problem in terms of the kind of process they are following in the existing tool? Do you need to change the tool itself? Change management is required. There are many things. So you analyze all of that as an analyst on a day-to-day basis. And I think constant upskilling is a part of any analyst role. Because what happens is, because you're just getting started, you don't know the nitty-gritties of the software. Every day is a new learning. You will learn something or the other every day. You will come across something that you wouldn't know. But R&D and research is something which a lot of people don't talk about as an analyst. But I'll tell you, because I'm going to complete a year in August with KPMG, one thing that I've understood is, if you want to excel in consulting, research is something you need to be adaptable to, because you will have to research on things before you go ahead and just tell somebody, yes, this is the solution, or no, this is not possible. You can't just go up front and say this is possible or this is not possible. You have to have backed up facts, and you have to have your research to back it up before you go ahead and give any decision or conclusion to your client. So I think research is another very important thing you will be involved in on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Obviously, presentations and client meetings where you're giving demos, all of that is also a part of your life as an analyst or even as a consultant.
That makes quite a lot of sense. So, according to you, what are the key skills that a consultant should have so that they can do their job well?
Yeah. So again, I'm going to answer it in a very generic way. I'm not going into the niche or the kind of consulting you're getting into, whether it's strategic consulting, whether it's risk consulting, whether it's management consulting, or it is financial consulting. When you talk about consulting as a whole, right? When we look at the umbrella of consulting, I think a few things that go without saying are, the first thing is your communication skills. Now, communication skills are something which will help you in any domain, right? For sure. But why is the weightage more in a consulting role is because you're always leading the role. You're always on the forefront. You're interacting with clients on a day-to-day basis, and your clients keep changing every 6 months, every 7 months. A new industry, a new client, a new problem. and you're supposed to interact with them, you're supposed to give them solutions. You'll have meetings on the spot, they'll ask you something, can you tell me why is the solution not feasible, or can you give me an alternative, or why do you suggest using this route? You have to be someone who's very spontaneous and someone who is very comfortable with communicating with people, right? So communication skills are something which cannot be, I would say, they cannot be bargained on when you are applying for a consultant role, right? So that's a very essential skill. The second thing is problem solving. Like I told you, as a consultant, your major role is to solve problems. And what they try to do is, when they're taking your interview and they ask you a couple of questions, or they ask you behavioral questions or situational questions, indirectly they're trying to judge your business acumen in terms of how well are you with respect to problem solving, or what kind of an approach do you follow when a problem is posed at you, right? Because they're trying to judge that what is your thought process like and how do you break down things. Because as a consultant, that is exactly what you'll have to do, which is to break down a huge problem into smaller parts and give them an implementable as well as a cost effective solution, because your client should be able to afford it. It cannot just be implementable, and it needs to be sustainable, because once the client puts in a huge sum of money into that solution, 3 years down the line, he cannot you cannot go back and tell them that now this is obsolete and you'll have to again invest some money and get in a new technology. You can't do that. So I think problem solving is the second thing. And I think the third skill, if you talk about in general, I would really say human psyche in general, understanding human beings is very important, and a bit of emotional intelligence again. Now, why I say this again is, you are not just a good consultant by being proficient with the technology. You become a good consultant when you understand your client's problem, and understanding the client's problem not from a bird eye view, the depths of it. What is the root cause of the issue in their organization? Why are their business processes failing? How can you actually come ahead, step in, and help them and sail the boat for them? That requires empathy. I think empathy is something a consultant really needs, and a lot of people don't talk about it, but you have to be empathetic to your client's problems. So that is another thing that they really look for.
Right. That sounds like quite a composite set of skills that we require to have. So, in modern culture and all, consulting sounds quite fancy, but is it? I mean, every job profile has its negatives and its positives, right? And some of these negatives are not very often spoken about. With that, also, what do you think is the negative impact or challenges that a consultant might have to face during this pandemic period?
Yeah, I think that's a very relevant question. No matter what you do in life, whether you're a student, you're a working professional, or you work for yourself, everything has got its own pros and cons, right? Like we said, everything comes with its own advantages and disadvantages. Now, consulting as a profession is a very, very demanding profession amongst some professions like investment banking. Now, why it is so is that it is dependent on the client, right? Like I said, it's a client facing role. There is a client project, you're working. There is no client project, you're on the bench. It's as simple as that. When there is a client, you're working maybe more than 15 hours in a day, or there may be days where you'll have no work, right? That's the kind of adaptability, or I would say mental acumen, that you'll have to build if you want to get into consulting. Second thing is, because you're working for the clients, there are no working hours. You don't have a 9 to 5 job as a consultant. It's very demanding. There is nothing like a logging in time and a logging off time from your system or from your computer, okay, or your desktop. It's you work as per your client requirements. That's the one line. And this is for all the big fours: Deloitte, PwC, KPMG, EY, and all the MBBs, McKinsey and Company, Boston Consulting Group, Bain and Company. You name the consulting firms, ZS Associates, all of them follow this, because I know peers in all of the firms, and everyone is sailing in the same boat. You have got no work timings, because you work according to your client timings. You may have a client in the US, you'll have to work according to the US timings. Your client may want you to work on the weekends. You cannot say no if there's an urgent requirement. So what I'm trying to tell you is, consulting requires you to sometimes go above and beyond that work-life balance that we talk about a lot. And you have to have that kind of capability again to be able to survive in such a field. Third thing is traveling. Now, a main, I would say, it could be a perk also. Sometimes it can be a headache for people. Travel is something you cannot detach from consulting. If you're in the consulting field, you're going to travel around the clock. Because again, like I said, now we are in the pandemic scenario, and I have not been lucky enough to be able to travel, or else by now I would have shifted at least 2 different cities, okay? Because I'm working with the clients virtually. You may get an international client, you have to fly down overseas, and you have to be there at the client location and work with them, right? Because that makes the process faster. So Traveling is another part of management consulting, which may not be okay for somebody, because every 6 months you're changing your you're changing where you're staying, then you have to adapt to the environment, the new city, everything like that. So you have to build a thick skin to these things. So everything has got its negative side as well. And I think another thing is, you're very, very accountable as a consultant. Like I told you, in any call, in any meeting, it just takes a second for the client to ask you a question. You have to be very well versed, and you have to understand the entire project very well, because you will be answerable at any point of time. Anything goes wrong in the project, even though you're a part of a team, when you're leading the project, what happens is there's a lot of onus and responsibility on your shoulders. You cannot pass it on to anybody else when you are owning the responsibility for module. Every project also will have different modules, and you will be working in a particular module. And irrespective of whether you're a shadow resource who's just supporting or you're in the lead, there is responsibility given to you. And I think in Big Fours, the kind of culture that they follow is such that, at least in KPMG, I've seen this. They don't look at you as a fresher who has just joined, and hence you shouldn't be given enough responsibility. In fact, I feel that I've always been given more responsibility than I expected should be given to me, and I think that has helped me grow as a professional. So yeah, those are a couple of things.
Right. Thank you for being so open with us. So that's quite a lot about consulting. Now, we are awed by the fact that you are also a podcaster, a content creator, and an analyst. So, can you tell us how you manage to, manage and balance out all your career interests?
First thing, I don't manage to do it. Okay, so this fairy tale or this rosy picture being put out, where everyone feels that it's all good and everything is in flow and everything is in sync, is not so. No one has it figured out, and I for sure don't have it figured out. The only thing I know is that I take every day not as it comes, but every day as a part of what is really important to me at that very moment. So what happens is, when I realized, while I started working last year with KPMG itself, it was during that time itself that I realized that I also wanted to do something of my own, create an impact, help students and working professionals, and then I started the Theria Decodes. Now, while I did that, and I started my own talk show, and I did a couple of other things, uh, I realized that I am not the kind of individual who would want to attach my identity just to a company, right? Now, that is a very personal choice to make. There are a lot of people, I know my friends, I know very close people in my network who are completely okay with just doing a 9 to 5 job and sticking and, let's say, identifying themselves just to that company. And they don't want to do anything else, and that's completely okay. I don't judge them for what they are okay with. But for me as a person, just being known as an SAP analyst at KPMG was something I never wanted to do, right? I knew that there was something else also that I'm capable of doing, and something that I would want to do for myself, which is not being imposed on me by a company or an institution, right? And that's when I started doing it. And in the process, at times it used to get very overwhelming, because handling a full-time job and handling all of this was very difficult. And that is when I decided having like a mini team for myself was important. And that's when the things got eased out. So now I obviously have interns who work with me, who make the task very easy, and that is why I'm able to juggle between things. As an individual, I was obviously in a very bad state. I think in November end is when I decided, within 2 months, that it's going to be very difficult to manage it all by myself, and I didn't want to give up on either. So that's when you kind of delegate, and you kind of find like-minded people, and you try to follow both. So it's like just managing or finding a sweet spot between your passion and your profession. And at times you have to park the ball on your passion side, because at the end of the day you are answerable to your company. So there are a lot of times when I have to park the ball here, and I don't get the deliverables met here, because I can afford to do that. You can't do that here. So that's how you somehow manage. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. That was quite an insight into your life. Now, if you don't mind, could you tell us a bit more about the Dhairya Decodes initiative, and how important is a person's LinkedIn presence, because you have a very formidable one.
Thank you. So when you talk about you know um, just the kind of initiative that I started. So again, like I told you, last year in September was when I started this initiative. It was just to help students and working professionals with all aspects around career, because when I started becoming active on LinkedIn, which was again probably I'll complete a year again towards August 10. I'll complete a year of content creation on LinkedIn. I think that time was a very peaking time in terms of students and working professionals being very stressed, They were frustrated, they were helpless, they didn't know how to adapt to the new normal, what courses to do, what career path to take, how to build a resume, LinkedIn. There was a chaos. It was a chaotic scenario. And what happened was, I think I was lucky enough in some sense that I came up with the right solution at the right time. Again, right, timing also matters. Now, when I realized and when I started getting a lot of DMs, I understood this is not a problem faced by one or two individuals or by one person who's doing BB or one person who's doing engineering. All across, whether you're doing MBA, you're doing a PhD, or you're doing a degree from a top-notch college, people from all colleges were reaching out to me, and then I understood that maybe there is a gap which I can fill. That's when I launched my website of Dhairya Decodes, I think in mid September. And I started offering these services. I did offer them for free for about 100 people to see it like a test model and a pilot model to see how it goes. And when they started landing jobs, when they built on their public speaking skills and became confident, or when they started getting shortlisted based on their resume, I saw the potential, right? And that's when I thought that let's make it full fledged, because again, it's difficult to give in so many hours, obviously, without not charging anything. I'm very upfront about the fact that I know that the kind of value I provide, and it comes with a very meager cost. I'm not charging a very heavy amount because this is not my major source of income. But at the same time, I wanted it to be valued, because everyone knows this, that when things are available for free and everything is available for free, you lose the kind of I would say the value that you give it degrades, and I didn't want that. So I made sure that it was pocket friendly, especially for the students, because I've digressed or divided my services separately for professionals and students, because I know the kind of shelling out capacity a professional can have who's working and what students face, right? So keeping all of that in mind and those scenarios in mind, I launched my website, and after that I started offering these services, and I saw a very good response without any kind of marketing or anything of sorts anywhere. And after that, I think in November, I started doing workshops because I realized that taking individual mentoring sessions only is very taxing for me, because I have a full time job as well. One on one, I have to spend each hour on just one person, whereas in a workshop, I can spend 1 hour on 30 people, 40 people. So that's when I started doing workshops in November. And ever since then, every month we conduct at least one or two new unique workshops. And then I had a team. Now my team helps me. I've got graphic designers, I've got video editors, a marketing team, campus ambassadors. So we've got separate groups, and they help me out with a lot of things. So it's become much easier now. And there are a lot of exciting things which are going to be coming up very soon. We are planning on launching a lot of resources also, which students can use. So that will happen in September on our 1 year anniversary. So those are a few things going into the future. And your second question, when you talk about LinkedIn, the LinkedIn presence, I think LinkedIn is a platform which has given me everything other than the job that I have. Everything that you see in my personality other than the job, because I got it through my campus, and I joined LinkedIn after I had a job. A lot of people today join LinkedIn to get internships, to get a job. I didn't join it for either of the reasons. I already had a job. I already had an internship with KPMG. I, in fact, joined it after my 6 month internship with them was over, which was last year in August. And why I joined it was a lot of people were talking about the platform. They said that you should try it, but my counter answer to them was that I have everything figured out. What am I going to get out of the platform? That was my I would say counter argument. But people told me that you should try out the platform. It can help you build a personal brand. You can build good connections. You can network with people. So I thought, let's just give it a go. And all I can say, based on my journey of almost completing a year now, it's not about the number of followers that I've made. It's about the impact that I've been able to create, and the kind of diversification I've had to make in my life. Today, whether it's my talk show, whether it's the brands that I collaborate with, whether it's the kind of content that I'm creating, whether it is people who are buying, my services, or who are availing to my workshops, everything happens from LinkedIn. Right, everything that I'm able to do is because of LinkedIn. The speakers that I call onto my show are because I've connected with people on LinkedIn. The international talks, all of these sessions that I take with colleges, they discover me through LinkedIn. Right, I became a keynote speaker because of LinkedIn. So all I'd like to tell you is, whether you're a student or a working professional or an entrepreneur or a freelancer, LinkedIn is for everybody, and is the best platform to start building your personal brand from scratch without spending a single penny. All you need to spend is some time and some efforts, and it can help you land a job. It can help you land an internship. It can help you build a personal brand. It can also help you diversify your sources of income. It can help you with a lot of things. So I feel that, I think it's kind of inevitable in today's day and age. The earlier you get onto the platform, the better. I only wonder and think about one thing: had I joined the platform let's say in my first year or in my second year, I don't think I would have been doing something completely different than what I'm doing right now. Even the more better is what I can say. So you can only imagine if 1 year of being on the platform can cause such a difference. And I know so many other people who have been impacted by this platform. All I can say is, if you're not on the platform, hop onto it, and I hope that this session can be a motivation for you to go up and sign up on LinkedIn. That my job's done there.
Right. I hope all our audience takes your advice to heart and joins right away. So, like you mentioned, you do and provide a lot of mentorship on personal branding. So, in today's world, why do you think that having a personal brand is more important than ever?
Yeah. I think again that's a very relevant question. Now, personal branding is a concept which has been there from a very, very, very long time. And unknowingly or knowingly, people like I would say uh, Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, people like Ratan Tata, Dhirubhai Ambani, all of these people were unknowingly or knowingly building a personal brand for themselves. But at that time, this term was not used as a buzzword, right? And that's the reason we never spoke about it. But these people were always doing it, and brands were doing it ever since, right? What is the difference between a personal brand and a brand? When I think about a food delivery app, Zomato or Swiggy come to my mind very, very effortlessly and effectively. When I talk about an edtech platform, maybe Byju's, An Academy, Vedantu, these are the names which will come to your mind immediately. If I tell you that, hey, Sushmita, let's go and grab a pizza. Pizza Hut, Domino's, at Max, Smoke and Joe's. Where are the other brands? Although we have so many pizza chains, because they have been able to retain the customers. They've been able to create that impression in the market. Now, the same thing when an individual tries to create that kind of persona or presence, that is what you call as a personal brand, right? Um, I think, am I audible? Because I feel like my video is stuck.
Yes, you are audible, but your video is stuck. Yeah,
Okay. Just give me a moment.
sure.
Do you think I should continue or should I join back again? Like whatever you feel would be more feasible, because
Uh,
it is stuck.
can you try? Yeah, I think you can.
Is it
Yeah,
better now?
it's better now. It's
Yeah.
completely okay now.
Perfect. So I think it got stuck again.
I think you can switch off your video for a bit. It's all right.
Sure. So when we talk about a personal brand is nothing but personal branding is nothing but going out there and telling people who you are, what you bring to the table, and how you can help them. And it's not showing off. Let me clear this, please. Personal branding is not showing off, and don't think that if you're telling people what you're capable of, you're showing off. No, there's a very thin line between showing off and personally branding yourself. And what is really important is um, that you kind of understand.
Hello, Dhairya ma'am, are you here?
Yes, hello.
Hello, yes.
Just give me a moment, Sushmita. I'm trying to actually switch to a better network so that at least the remaining half of the
Sure.
session goes smooth. Just give me a second.
All right.
Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, it's pretty good now.
Yeah. Right. So when you talk about personal branding, like I said, it's all about just letting people know more about you. Because, for example, if Sushmita is not going to go ahead and tell people what is Theria Decodes and what Theria Decodes offers. Why will she do it for me? I have to do it for myself. As simple as that. What you can do, what you are capable of, is what you will talk about. No one's going to come and do it for you. That's why it's called a personal brand. It's personal to you. It is about your brand value. It is about your vision. It is about what you want people to think about you. Jeff Bezos said this, that your personal brand is what people think about you when you leave a room, or what people say behind your back when you leave the room, right? When we have a conversation here, you're obviously going to ask me a couple of questions. I'm going to answer them, and we're going to get done with it. But let's say a month from today, someone talks to you about a concept around personal branding, or someone just mentions something related to management consulting. And if you're able to reflect back on and you remember me, that means I created my personal brand in your life in that field. right? That recall capacity or brand value, if I'm able to create, and you recall that yes, Dhairya had given a session on for Biztalks 2021, and I remember her speaking about this. That's when you've created a personal brand. When that person is not there in front of you, but you remember them. Like we had no connection with Baiju's, Vedantu, or these people, but the moment I said that, you reconnected to them, right? So that is what personal branding is. Now, in one line, I'd like to answer why has it become so essential today, especially for students. With the digital era coming in and with everything becoming so competitive, you cannot just rely only on your resume or only on the fact that you possess some skills. You will have to fight for it. You will have to show it to people because a lot of other people also possess similar amount of skills. So you need to shine through. What happens is personal branding becomes that leeway or that gateway into doing something which most of the people are not doing because people are shy. Again, people feel that that is they equate personal branding to boasting, and they feel that if they do that, things may not be not things may not go down the right track. But the people who are being able to leverage personal branding to the best of their capabilities are the ones who are getting numerous opportunities today. And that is why I think it is very important to personally brand yourself, because today you cannot just rely upon the traditional or conventional methods, and hence personal branding just helps you uh, stand out from the crowd. So yeah.
Right, ma'am. That was quite useful, and I hope we can all apply that to our day-to-day lives. Now, we actually have a few questions from our audience, and we'd
Sure.
love for you to answer them. So, the first question is what kind of projects are you currently working on?
Okay.
Just an overview.
Yeah, sure. So a very recent project that I just started was with Graphy, which is a sister company of Unacademy. So I've launched my live course with Graphy, which actually started just yesterday evening. And right after this session, I'm going to be taking the second class there. So it's a 6-day course which I've launched with Graphy, which is called Career Development with Dhairya Decodes. And I help you build a 360-degree career-oriented profile. So I'm covering everything right from resume building to LinkedIn profile building to career guidance to cracking interviews, and also business communication, presentation skills, email writing, everything. So that's how I've designed the course, and it's a live course. That is one project that I've very recently worked on. Also, I keep obviously partnering with colleges. I would say that my weekends, my Saturdays and Sundays are filled with at least 5 to 6 sessions with colleges. So that is something that I keep doing on every weekend. Again, with respect to August, I'm partnering with a lot of colleges. But yeah, when you talk about other exciting projects as well, I'm actually going to be coming up with a challenge of my own on a platform called Tag Mango. I've actually previously also partnered with them for my workshops. I'm a creator there. So Tag Mango is a platform which has been it's a startup backed by Y Combinator. They've been funded by Y Combinator, and they are helping content creators monetize their skills. So a lot of top influencers who you must be knowing from Instagram host their live workshops there. I've also done it. Just last month, I did a resume building workshop with them, and they want to partner with me for doing a challenge. So I may come up with a 21-day or a 30-day challenge with them, which is something I've never done before in the past 1 year. So I'm very excited for that. And I am also coming up with a live project course that I'm going to be launching with Expertrons. It should be out by the end of August or by September. So that is another thing. And Theria Decoded is coming up with something of their own. It's in the digital product space. I won't talk much about it, but yeah, that should be out in September as well. So those are a couple of projects I'm working on currently.
That sounds great, ma'am. I'm sure we're all looking quite forward to all your projects, and we can't wait for them. And thank you, ma'am, for your detailed elaboration. And I hope the audience's query has been answered. So the second question would be right. So there are many people who have misconceptions about consultancy in general. So can you highlight some of them and do your best to clear them out?
Sure. So I think the first thing in terms of some myths around consulting is the first thing is that people feel that consulting does not involve technology. That is a myth which I feel is there, because people feel consulting is all about advising. It is about advising, but advising is just a very small subset of consulting. That's the first step that you take because you're advising your clients. But after the advising part is done, you have to do implementations. You have to configure the softwares. You have to actually help the business owners or the stakeholders understand why is it what you're doing, right? So it's not just about advising. There is a huge role is played by technology, and I think that again people feel that just having a managerial acumen is what you need to get into consulting, which is not true. You actually need a blend of both, I feel, irrespective of the domain you're getting into. So that is another myth that I'd like to bust. And I think another misconception which exists in the market is that it is very it's very difficult to get into consulting, which is not true. Okay, I don't know why people feel that it's a very it's an unattainable kind of job role, or it is very difficult to get into. It isn't. And it's just about if you have the right kind of personality and you build your profile the right way, you will be able to attract such kind of roles, because it is not difficult. They're just looking for people, like I told you, who have a business acumen, who have that problem solving knack, who are good with their communication skills, and who will be able to provide the kind of solutions their clients are looking for, if not technically, but at least understand the process and provide it to them. So if you feel you can fit this bracket, trust me, you can always give it a try in consulting. And it's not like they're only going to take the cream of the cream. Obviously, there are going to be shortlisting rounds. They'll have their own process via which they'll filter out whether you're a better fit or not. That's for them to decide. But don't go with the blockage in your head that they only take a certain category of people, or only when you have very good grades in your academics can you get into the consulting field. That's not how it is. So yeah, I would say again, focus more on your skills, and that is what matters.
Right. I hope that your answer was helpful to the audience, and they can implement it. So our third question would be, how did you go about with the internships that helped you learn more about the field that you wanted to go ahead with in your life?
Yeah. So when I started my internships, my aim was to understand what under management do I want to do. And that's why I went ahead and I did internships in almost every management domain that you could think of, right from operations to HR to content writing to business development to sales to marketing. I've done it all. Now, the reason was not to bring that tag of the number of internships I was doing. When I started out, I didn't even know by my 10th or 11th internship that I'd done 11 internships. My aim was to remove the confusion from my brain, because I was so frustrated. I didn't want to be lost in life where I was clear with what I didn't want to do, but what would I do with that? I need to know what I want to do. So to figure out what is it that I want to do, I found I would say, my savior in internships, to be very honest. And when I started doing those internships one after another in different domains, slowly and steadily, I understood that there is, as like I told you, a field called consulting, and consulting really resonated with my personality. Whatever I was seeing myself groom into, whatever I was able to do with ease, seemed to be very, very well aligned to consulting. And that was when I could make a conscious decision that probably getting into the consulting field or becoming a business analyst, at least as a job role, is something which would really suit my personality. If not this, I think I would have probably gotten into sales, business development and marketing, because that is another thing which I really worked on with a couple of firms, IIT and IM incubated startups. I worked in sales and marketing roles with a lot of edtech startups in India, with firms in US, with firms in UK, in UAE. So I think if I wouldn't have gotten into consulting, then I would have gotten into a role, a customer acquisition or a marketing or a business development role for sure, because I genuinely feel I have a knack for it, and that's when it comes in handy in Theria Decodes also. Now when I have to, ultimately I'm selling my services, right? So that becomes a lot more easier for me, because I've done these things in the past as a part of my internship. Now I do it as a founder. But yeah, I think that is what I would have done, and that's how I decided I'll get into consulting.
Right. Yeah, I hope we can find the many, internships and, clear the confusions that even we have in our heads.
Yeah.
I hope the audience was satisfied with that answer. Our fourth and final question would be, having done so many internships, do you think that diversifying your internship experience and roles is better than sticking to what one thinks is their interest? Like, is it good to diversify, or, is it better to stick to your interests?
See, it's a very personal choice, okay? Because not every individual, I think, is carved out to do multiple things at a time. Not every individual is also comfortable with pursuing multiple interests, right? So it depends on your personal choice. When I started doing internships, I realized that I like this also, I like that also, and then I figured out what is it that I like more. So for me, that was my way of figuring out. Even if you ask me right now, I'm doing multiple things because that's how I've always been. For me, my functioning or my productivity will go down if I won't do multiple things. That's how I am as a person. But I also understand that people can get miserable at the work they do if they are juggling between multiple things, because some people are carved out to just be focused on one particular thing and do it very well, and that's okay. You don't have to judge anybody. It's a very personal choice. But I feel in general, if you talk to me about diversification, today, if you come with multiple skill sets, you'll always be an asset to an organization, a startup, or a company. You will never be an employee who will be of no use. Because, for example, if I come with content writing experience, I come with resume building experience. I'll just give you this incident. I've not shared this on any platform before, but it comes to my mind now, that actually genuinely, because of the extra skills that I've honed, other than what my job as an SAP analyst demands me to do, I have gotten so many other opportunities in my firm, and so early on. Now, because the HRs and other spokes in my firm, within 2 months of me joining, knew that I am very active on LinkedIn. I create content and I have my own talk show. They obviously realized I have a flair for talking. So there was a big event, a digital family event, when Diwali happened last year in November, which was to be organized for KPMG India. And there were about 700 plus employees who joined in that virtual event, and I was asked to host it. I got that opportunity because they knew I was personally branding myself. Also, there was a project wherein I actually worked on the resumes of 800 plus employees in KPMG. Because of my resume building skills, I got that internal project because I showed to the world that this is what I can help you with. If people did not notice me from KPMG, right from the analyst level to associate directors, I would never get that opportunity. So if you have multiple skills, you'll only be an asset to a firm. It's never going to go down the lane. That is my opinion.
Wow, that's amazing what you've accomplished, and I hope that the audience's queries have been answered.
Yeah.
Finally, to conclude, do you have any advice that you'd like to give to aspiring consultants who might be listening to us on this interview?
Sure. I think I have an advice to give to anybody and everybody in general, not just the consultants. What I feel is that we are in a we are actually in a very competitive world. Like, I've been using the word competitive very often because it is so. No matter how hard you try, no matter what you accomplish, someone would have accomplished something more than you, and it's better we accept that, right? Because you can never be the best. No one can be the best. You can always try to be amongst the best. This is something I've always said. Try to be amongst the best. Don't strive to be the best, because you'll automatically come into that rich quality circle. And I think, don't try to follow what others are doing, because I was in a similar place when I was in college, when I felt that what everyone was doing was the right thing to do. But the truth is that had I not done what I'm doing, and had I not gone the unconventional route, I wouldn't have landed up here taking sessions in colleges I dreamt of even probably being in, speaking at IIT, speaking at SPGen Global, speaking at institutions which I never thought I'll make it to, right? Life comes a full circle. So there is something else planned for you. It's better to go with your gut and to go with what you're passionate about than to just go with what everyone is doing. That is something you should 100% do. And at that moment, you may feel like it's not rewarding enough in terms of the money. You may also feel that it's not rewarding enough in terms of what others are doing, right? But eventually, if you are doing what you like doing, the money, the power, the satisfaction, the happiness, everything flows in with time. It takes time, but everything comes and sits right into place where it needs to be. And also, the third thing is that you don't need to have everything figured out. This is something I learned a little later on in life, actually very recently, about 3 to 4 months ago. It's my most recent learning that it's okay if you don't have everything figured out. If you ask me today, what is it that I exactly want to do 2 years from today, I'm being very honest, I don't know. I'm just going with the flow, because the pandemic has taught me it's better to go with the flow as of now. I don't want to be very harsh on myself. I don't want to impose or put myself into a box. I just want to keep giving my best, and that is what I do every day. I obviously think about my future goals, but I'm not harsh on myself, and that is what I think everyone should do.
That is some excellent advice, ma'am. Thank you so much. And
Yeah.
with this, we come to the conclusion of day 3 of Biztalks by ISTE and ITK. Thank you so much, Dhairya ma'am, for taking time out from your hectic schedule to give us a peek into your life and experiences. These
Thank you so much,
insights have
Sushmita.
been, thank you. So these insights have been extremely helpful, and we wish you loads of success and happiness in the future.
Thank you, and I'd like to thank the entire organizing committee, everyone at ISTE and ITK, who has been involved in, putting up this entire summit and everything that you've done. It's great, and yeah, keep doing the great work. I hope I've been able to help the audience in any way possible. You could always feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn or follow us on Instagram at Theria Decodes. We're more than willing to help as many students as possible. So thank you so much, Sushmita, again. I hope all of you have a great week ahead.
Yeah. Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you to all our audience members for attending today's session. And we sincerely hope that Biztalks 2021 by ISTE and ITK has proven to be worth your time. We wish you all a very fruitful and productive academic year. Stay home and stay safe.